we talked last week about using My Greatest Fear as kind of an assignment we gave everybody to see if they could use My Greatest Fear. And what we're talking about when we say My Greatest Fear is that it kind of leads you to an honest discussion about how things are really going on your call as opposed to kind of imagining how things are going, right? Like, let's face it, salespeople, we have quite an imagination, don't we? That we kind of think things are going good, or we fool ourselves, kind of in a state of self-delusion, or we kind of think things are kind of going good, and the truth is they're not going good at all. We think they're heading the right direction because we say things like, "Hey, I think we almost got this one," or "This one looks really good. I'll bet I get this one." And later on, you find out that somebody else comes in and takes the job right from you, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so we want to try and get out of that state of self-delusion. I think My Greatest Fear, using the statement "My Greatest Fear," kind of helps you break through that, doesn't it? I mean, Rick, have you done anything with that all this week? It was your assignment too. Did you have any instances where you used My Greatest Fear?
Yeah, a couple. I used it tonight. I had a sales call at 6 o'clock I went to, and actually it was a boiler call. I had been there a week ago, and he was going to ready to make a decision today when I went back there, and I had shown him different premium options from deluxe options to standard options on different boilers, and it works out that my bottom boiler wasn't far away from everybody else's, but my second boiler up was $5,000 more, and he was quite, he was stuck between spending the extra $5,000, and I pulled out the old greatest fear. My greatest fear was, I said to him, you know what my greatest fear is? My greatest fear is that you're going to go with the lower end boiler, and you're going to continue to get these high gas bills in the beginning, and then you're going to be sorry later on that you didn't invest in something better.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
What did he say to that one?
He said, yeah. He says, that's exactly what I'm thinking. But I just, it's good to hear you say it because that's really the point. I don't want to buy cheap. Actually, he says I wanted to buy the $20,000 one, but my wife's talking. His wife was sitting right there talking him out of it. So we agreed on the one that was $5,000 more than anybody else's.
So everybody else was what was everybody else's price that he said?
They were, believe it or not, I had my low one was $7,800 if it was just a boiler, a gas fired boiler change out. And there was a guy at $7,500, a guy at $7,000, and that's all I could find out from each.
Hey, maybe we're having an impact out there, Rick.
Yeah,
Maybe by spreading the word about what's possible, people are kind of looking at it and saying. I wouldn't take credit for all that, but
no. But the two is, then he was the guy who said it was so cheap he just discounted them altogether.
He thought that 7,000 was cheap.
Well, no, he had one that was a lot lower than that. He didn't tell me what it was. He just said it was really, really cheap.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
He had one that was really cheap, probably 3,500 or something.
Yeah. So, but the thing interesting was I showed him the boiler with the outdoor reset control, the Vivan boiler, with the Petronic, all that type of thing. That was $5,000 more, and I went all the way up to the Vita Dens, which is a gas condensing boiler with the best warranties, and he ended up spending $5,000 more than his next closest estimate.
Wow. Did he say why he did that as opposed to?
Yeah, it was totally. He was like, I don't want that. After I told him what my greatest fear was, he said, that's my greatest fear too. That I'm going to be in this house for another 20 years probably, and my greatest fear is that I'm going to try to be, I think he said penny wise and pound foolish is I think what he used.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, to spend $5,000 more, most customers, if they're pretty smart, say, hey, listen, how can I make back my $5,000?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you position it to say, hey, listen, something you'll make back your money that you're investing now?
He will. I mean, I have some stuff I show him about how with the outdoor reset control and the gas modulating valve, that that it's only on a warmer day it's going to have a lower water temperature going to the to the radiant. It's there's definitely a payback for him to spend the money. It's definitely a premium product.
Yeah.
I don't. What part of the country are you in?
Northeast as well.
Northeast. Okay. Yeah. Whereabouts?
Massachusetts.
Oh, Massachusetts. All right. Yeah. So up here, you can Vivan boilers could definitely have the payback on them if you do a little bit of homework and show them.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Isn't it really? I mean, there's a logical case, which is what Gene is saying. But what's logically you could save money or make that $5,000 payback.
Right.
But
Don't you think it's more about
sometimes
emotional?
it's better off to undersell that payback, isn't it? To say kind of undersell that payback and not overpromise it and say, oh yeah, you'll make that 5,000. And say, well, you know what? Sure, there's going to be a payback, no doubt about it. But let's face it, the reason why you should get this one because it's the best one.
Right.
It's one of the best ones.
Right.
If you could just, Gene, if you could just like say something like that, it'd be more valuable. Because basically you just say something like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. There'll be a payback. But really, the most important thing is this is just a more quality job.
Right.
And that, everybody can understand that, right?
And and that's why I think I do most. I talk about these as quality.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or just it's a more deluxe product.
Right.
And people just want things that are better.
Right. Gene, did you hear that part?
Definitely, it's loud and clear.
Yeah, I wouldn't oversell the cost savings analysis. I think this industry has been way too brainwashed on having to come up with a logical case for people to save money. The truth is, if that was the case, nobody would ever buy like a Munchkin boiler. It would you'd never sell one because there's no logical case. You're not going to make the 10% savings back. But why would you want the Munchkin? Why is it better? It's just better. It's just a more quality. The perception is it's a more quality product, and that's why people want it because it's more high tech or more modern style. It's smaller. There's no logically. Well, how much smaller is it though? The footprint is not that much smaller than a normal boiler, right?
Right. You know what it is too? I think that's
the pipes are still in place and everything. You take care of that.
Joe, I think that's an excellent point because let's look at it. If you want basic transportation to get back and forth to work, you can buy something for $15,000, right? How can you ever justify buying a $50,000 or $60,000 car?
That's beautiful.
Yeah, you'd never be able to. Yeah, I mean, and when's the last time somebody who's on this call right now bought a car that costs less than $15,000?
I don't think.
No, but there's nobody.
Right.
You know why? Because we all work too hard and we all deserve better, right? And it's really an emotional case that we want to pamper ourselves. It's nothing to do with a logical case that I need that 1-ton pickup with the dual wheels. I really need to get that because logically I get that snowstorm like that big nor'easter that came in, and man, I got to get the 1-ton pickup just for that one day of the whole year. You could take off. It would be a lot cheaper to stay home from work that day, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
So logically, there's no. If it was logical, no one would ever sell the Cadillac Escalade. No one would ever sell the. Because let's face it, Escalade is just a Tahoe with a different label on it, right?
Yeah.
And so the difference is that the only difference is that the Escalade, if you buy the Yukon, you won't get that Cadillac insignia, right? And that's the emotional thing. You deserve a Cadillac. You deserve the best thing, right? And that's why people buy those kind of boilers, Gene,
right.
and all the rest of the guys out there. They aren't going to make that purchase because of some kind of logical argument you're trying to make.
Right.
They're going to make it. They're going to make that purchase because they deserve the best. And they deserve the quality one. And Rick, when you verbally package it, how did you verbally package that one? You called it like a European styling?
Yeah,
What'd you call
exactly. I said that the European deluxe boiler.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I call it. And then I have the premium, the European premium boiler.
I've even heard you say like this one's made in Germany, where they use boilers like this is like a they take the boiler seriously in Germany.
And exactly, and that's what I spend more time on that. You know what I tell them? I don't know if you want me to go into this, Joe, but I use this all the time. I tell them, I heard this thing that says necessity is the mother of invention. And if we were in the same position that the Germans were in, as far as natural resources and how much it costs to throw things away and the amount of wet heat they do compared to us, then we would make a better boiler. But we don't need to because we're not in their situation. So the Europeans are way ahead of us when it comes to wet-based heat, and they make a more premium product. Pretty much out of necessity.
Right.
And then you set that in their head, and now, it's premium. That's what I want.
This one's good. It's like the Rolls Royce.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'll do. I'll tell them this is the premium, it's a Rolls Royce. This one here is more like a Mercedes Benz. And then I got the American one down here. That's a Ford.
So when the customer was kind of hemming and hawing between going to the cheapest one and going to something better, that's when you kind of interject. My greatest fear is you're going to go to that cheap one,
right?
And then you're going to regret it because your gas bills aren't going to be any lower.
And it's not going to last as long, and you're going to end up having a lot of repair. More repairs.
We'll be doing this job over again someday.
Right? Would you like to do it once, or would you like to get it over with?
That's good. Anybody else use that one? Anybody else out there have any stories they want to share? I got somebody else who used it the other day too. We can talk about that. But Anybody else
I've got a quick question for him. Was that a Vitola biferal that you sold with a chassis?
No, I didn't. That was it was a gas system. So what I did was on the very top option was a Vito Dens, and then I did that with 10-year, 5-year, and then standard warranties, and then I did the Vito Gas 100 with the V-tronic control.
Okay.
And then I
we're going to go over that. We're going to go over that tonight as packaging tonight.
And then I went to Vito Gas 50.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we're going to talk about packaging tonight because that's a really probably one of the things that if I could say there's one thing that could help you make enough money to come to one of my seminars, would be that part of it. Like automatically, you'd make enough money just to learn how to package things right and how to present that package.
Right.
If you did nothing else but that, you'd make enough money more to be able to afford to come to any kind of thing I do. Because that's part of what I try and do with this kind of class is to help you guys out there, get some success at no cost, so you kind of feel compelled to go to something that's going to even make you more successful than that. Make sense?
Sure. I mean, I've got a packaging product that I currently use, but it's not quite as elaborate with maintenance built in like you're currently offering. So.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of different things that have kind of prepackaged stuff, and of course the thing that we're doing is definitely more of a custom fit for exactly what people have to offer. We'll talk a little bit about that right now. I think we'll just move into that. And unless anybody else has a greatest fear story they want to share real quick from last week. Anybody else do a greatest fear?
I actually used two. I used two of them on the same call.
What'd you do?
Well, when I originally went there, he told me that he wanted to keep his gas-fired water heater because it was only 6 years old. So I had noticed that he just refinished his whole basement, nice finished basement, and I told him, what my greatest fear is? My greatest fear is that you spent all this money on this beautiful basement, and you did a great job in this basement. It looks great. You know what? If I lived here, I'd never leave the basement. You get that nice flat-screen TV and everything down here. It's beautiful. I hate to see that water heater just let go and flood this whole basement and ruin all this nice work that you did. And so,
guess what we're buying now, huh?
Right. So I sold him a storage tank as well.
Oh wow, great! So you wound up with a system. What was that system? What would that system go for?
I went for $15,000.
$15,000. Well, and the next closest competitor was where?
$7,500.
Oh, that's not too bad. So I guess it kind of defeats that myth again that the cheapest guy always wins, or somebody who's cheaper wins, right?
Right.
Because that is. Are you more? I mean, when I first met you, Rick, you thought that was kind of crazy when I said that the cheapest job doesn't win.
Yeah. I always thought well, it was until I started to do it your way that I started to realize that the most expensive job was winning. That I realized. And
the customer, when they told you didn't get the job, they just told you that you were too much money.
Right.
Because they had nothing else they could tell you.
And you know how I found that out? I asked the customer, so what are you going to tell the other guy? He says, well, I'm going to tell him he was too expensive.
Even though you were $10,000 more. Actually, in that case, I think you told me that story. You were like $15,000 more, right?
I was like 5 times more expensive than he was. And so
what are you going to tell the guy who's only $5,000 for this thing?
Yeah. That's exactly what happened.
And he said, well, I'm going to tell him he's too much money.
Yeah.
Because what else can you tell somebody, that I spent $20,000 more for somebody else?
Yeah, guy didn't have the heart. I said, well, you're probably doing him a favor.
Yeah, isn't that funny how misleading that is? And then there's somebody out there who's doing it for $5,000 going, God damn, how much lower I got to be to get this job? He's out there kicking himself in the ass right now.
I can't laugh too hard because I wonder how many times I said that. Right? I probably said that myself 100 times.
Yeah, because what else could the customer tell the guy? There's no choice. You can't be that honest. Because what you're really saying when you say that is, if you said that I spent $20,000 more with somebody else, what you're really saying is that you're a bad salesman.
Right, and then I got to do that.
I bought from a better salesman.
Right.
It's really what the case is. And I tell you what, the truth is, the brutal, honest truth is that when you do lose a job, odds are you lost it to a better salesperson.
Yep.
That's really the truth. It's not what you think it is. You got to stop lying to yourself and saying that it's justifying it with pricing and gouging and things like that, or people going too low and dropping their drawers. The truth is that after asking several hundred customers why they go with a certain thing they go with, and believe me, I was the kind of guy back in the old days. I was trying to find a way to make it cheaper myself, and I learned that lesson probably only I'd say the last 6 years I've been selling the right way. In the first 40 years, I didn't sell the right way. So
I can remember feeling all the time the company's overhead was too high. I couldn't get the right price for, the company was just asking me to try to get too much for it.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting double and triple what I was getting before.
Now I will tell you this though, When your price is just a little bit higher and you're doing the same thing, that's where people will ask you for a discount. That's where they're going to say, bring the price down to 40. If you're at 5,300, and they'll say, bring it down to 4,800. You guys, I'll give you the job, because you're only $500 more, but you're doing the same thing.
Right.
The key is you got to be like 10,000 or 20,000 more and doing something completely different. That's why the differentiation is what makes a difference, isn't it, Rick?
Exactly.
I can talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about packaging. I do want to share a story, though. Yesterday from the coaching session we had with the regular guys from Total Immersion, they told me a greatest fear story. It was pretty good on a guy who had a guy from Dallas, Texas, who was on a call with a tune-up, and he had the thing saying that he basically said, my greatest fear is that you had me out here just to do a tune-up, and if I find something, you're probably not going to hear about it. Is that correct? And the customer's like, well, no, of course I want to hear about it. Definitely, if something's wrong, let me know. Okay, then that's what I'll do. Just that little thing gave him the freedom to go ahead and present and make a $7,000 sale. The fact that he found out that he had several repairs with the unit on a tune-up and took it from a tune-up to over $7,000 and stuff, and duct renovation and air conditioning stuff and whatnot. So that's a good story, huh?
That's a great story.
Yeah. So just the fact that when you guys go on, when you're talking to your technicians about what to do on a tune-up or how to sell things on a tune-up, one of the biggest tips I could tell you to do is when your first thing is use my greatest fear. My greatest fear is that you just have me out here to do a tune-up, and if I find something, you're probably not going to want to hear about it. I want to confirm that. Is that true? And you're like, no, I want to hear about it. So you get the customer to sell you on hearing about the problem. So the first sale you make on that kind of a call is just getting people to tell you, just getting permission to tell them about the repair. Make sense?
Definitely.
Yeah. Good. Oh, that's my story on that. Let's talk about packaging now. Move into that. How's that sound? Packaging is one of the more funner subjects to talk about, I think. Don't you think, Rick?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like fun because it's like you're putting together. It's like building a Cadillac or building a Rolls Royce in the showroom or in the factory and then putting it in the showroom, right?
Right.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun when you're putting together high-end stuff. Now, let's face it. The way most people build options for customers. What are the typical ways that most contractors do it? I mean, most people say they select a certain product that they have in mind that they want to sell, and then they go ahead and put it out there, and then they offer sub-options. Like they may offer a boiler. Like let's say they want to sell a Viessmann boiler. They might put Viessmann out there, right? Like is that what you used to do, Rick? You may let's say if you wanted to go with Viessmann, you would put that out there, and then you'd offer a bunch of sub-options underneath that?
No, I used to do is offer a more standard boiler, and then give them an upcharge to go to a Viessmann.
So you go opposite. You would you start with the basic one to try and compete in the low end,
right?
And then you would say, of course, you want to upgrade it for $3,000 more. It would be a Viessmann, and if you want to go to the zoning, that would be an extra, $3,000 there. And if you do this, it's extra $2,000. And actually, you keep adding it up till the same price is going to occur. The only difference is that you're making the customer build his own price.
Exactly.
I've done the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the anti way of doing it. That's the way it's never going to work.
Yes, I would. Well, it worked, but it was not near as good and a lot more effort.
Yeah, because you have to sit there and you can sit there for 4 hours building a package like that, right?
Right.
Because customers, what if we do that? What if we do this? What if we do that? You're sitting there back and forth, spending hours and hours doing this thing. And whereas, how much time does a typical presentation take now, Rick, from the top down when you do it that way?
15 minutes. I zoom right through it.
15 minutes?
15 minutes, maybe a half hour.
So would you say that the presentation that takes like Rick Elgeier, who just sold an $88,000 job on a geothermal heat pump, said the whole thing took about half an hour to make his presentation. He said before he would have taken definitely 4 to 6 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
And now it took a half an hour to make that same presentation and sold an $88,000 job that would have been a $37,000 job. He said in the past if he had even got it.
Right.
So time is an issue, right? I mean, it does make it more. Now, why is time so important during the presentation? Let's talk about that. Time is important during a presentation, isn't it? I mean, it's not just your waste of time, but what's so important about not taking so much time on a presentation?
You don't want to bore the customer.
It just bores them. That's right.
Bores them to hell.
You lose people, right?
Right.
And
they only have a certain attention span or mental equity that you have to deal with.
Mental equity, that's a good one, right?
Yeah, I use that. Yeah, verbal packaging. That's verbal packaging there.
Mental equity, I love that one.
Yeah.
So you got a certain mental equity that you can, and if you use up that equity really quick, you probably got about 15, 20 minutes of equity, I would say.
Right.
And after that, it's
you can extend it another 10, 15 minutes if you do a nice a show, if you make it more like a show. But any more than that, you lost them.
Right. Or if you don't, now you could take too little time doing it the wrong way too. You could sell like one piece of equipment and then try and add on to it, like sell a furnace and then try and offer optional humidifiers or offer optional other things, right, like that.
Right.
And why doesn't that work? How come it doesn't work when you sell something to somebody low and then you try and raise something on?
Because they feel like now you're just trying to sell them something they don't need. Because if they really needed it, you would have presented them all at first.
Yeah. Or haven't you seen this before, where all the little optional things like the humidifier or air cleaner, they try and get you to throw it in for free?
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
Because they see it all broken out and they're like, hey, it's only $500. He's probably got $500 of profit on this. Why don't we just go ahead and ask for that, right?
Right.
Who hasn't heard that before? All you guys out there, does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
You know, where customers they see you put the sub options and they say, I tell you what, you throw this, and this in for free, you got the job.
Yeah.
You ever heard that before?
I hate to say I heard that a lot.
Yeah. So the bottom line is that's why that form never works. The form of packaging that we're talking about is completely different and opposite of that way. Let's talk a little bit about it, Rick. So when you build your first option, is the first option the lowest one now, or is the most expensive and
it's the
highest one?
It's the most expensive one. I put together my options with the most premium equipment, with the best warranties and all the other options all included.
When we say options, now let's talk about the things that go into it. So first, there's all the equipment, right? And then there's other work that touch the equipment, like any kind of piping or zoning, or like you said, all the additional air removal stuff or whatever, or maybe a side a water heater, that endless type of water heating system, like a superstore or something like that, right?
Correct. Yep.
And then you got that kind of thing going.
Right. So we're talking about a boiler, and a boiler. I'll pick the most premium boiler, the highest efficiency, and I'll also put in any other components, all new boiler trim, and now services warranties. So I'll put in there 10 years of part warranty, 10-year labor warranty, 10 years of service warranty. We come out and do the maintenance, and include also a VIP. So anytime they call for service, we'll guarantee them to come, within a certain amount of time.
So it's not just it's not just that. It's also the things with the additional service, right? So make sure they can't write a check for anything. That's the key thing, right?
It's 100% covered for 10 years, bumper to bumper, including all maintenance.
So bumper to bumper, all maintenance. You can't write a check, not for anything. So I've even used that one before, Rick, where I say, aren't you sick of heating guys trying to sell you stuff on tune-ups and things like that?
Yep.
And they go, yeah, I am sick of that. And say, well, in this one here, you don't have to have that ever happen again, because this one, basically everybody is you're in a situation, this one, where it's all everything. So you can't write a check for anything, right?
Right.
That's good. So you got your first option is the most expensive one. So there's two things about this. So first thing you do is list all the things you want to do, right? The kind of boiler, the kind of piping, the kind of zoning, air removal. What else would you say, Rick? Like, say a water heater?
Yeah,
like that,
or
right?
a storage tank.
And then the services you're talking about were kind of warranty. How much are you going to commit to this thing, right?
Right.
So if you're saying 10 years up to 3 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Eve type of service you're talking about?
Right.
You can't write a check for anything. I don't care if you call us at 3 o'clock in the morning on 4th of July or Christmas Eve. You're covered.
Right.
And then you got the maintenance, which is, of course, includes the planned service agreement for like the same amount of warranty you got, right? So if you got a 10-year warranty, you're going to package up the 10 years of service too?
Correct.
And then any kind of humidifier pads or filters or additional other products. If you're going to have boiler treatment, then what should you do, right?
All included.
It's included for 10 years. You can't screw around, right?
Right.
So the first thing to do to make a package is to make a list of all those things, right? What'd you say?
Right.
Is to create a list of all the things you're going to include in the finance package.
Correct.
Now, once you create that list, now you got to create what's called the verbal package, right, Rick?
Right.
I mean, you have to take all these technical things, and you've got to wrap them up into something that people can understand what it is, right, without having to bore them and turning it into a 3-hour presentation.
Right, and that's very, very important. For example, I'm going to use air conditioning. Until very recently, it took me a while to get weaned off how I used to do it, because I was stuck on certain things. For instance, SEER ratings and that type of thing. And now I don't list any numbers or series or BTUs or anything on the proposals at all now, or on the presentations. It's just premium, deluxe, or standard. Because our customers don't care about numbers and series, and all it does is raise issues where they feel they have to compare now with everybody else. If you're talking about, I wonder what the other guy's CR rating was, or this and that. It just opens up a whole other can of worms. So it's very just in words that they can understand without causing me more obstacles. I'm not creating my own obstacles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because when you start putting too technical information in there, it gets people to ask more questions about what's the difference between 102,000 or 98,000 BTUs, or this other boiler is 95.6% efficient as opposed to 93.4.
Right.
And the truth is, there's the equipment and a different size and different applications. The efficiency is not what the manufacturer says it is anyway, is it?
Right.
So it's always, if you put an air conditioning unit in, you're not going to get, even if you sell a 21 SEER unit, you're not going to get 21 SEER unless it's in the perfect condition with the right air and the
handle
variable
air
speed.
And exactly, variable speed.
Duct leakage, everything's going to be counted.
Right.
So basically, let's talk about it. So you stack up all these things, and then you create a title for the package, right, Rick?
Right.
So what would be a good title for like a top package?
I call mine Platinum.
I'm going to give you a little hint here. Rick, you might be able to pick up this one here. I helped out on that job where Rick Algeier, he won that contest to come to our total immersion in St. Louis, right? And he came back and he goes, I'm going to make my first presentation, Joe, and I'm going to call this one my Platinum geothermal package. He said he told me.
Right.
And I said, well, Rick, that's interesting to call it that. I said that's not bad. I said, what were these people all about? I mean, tell me the kind of customer that these people were. I mean, what's their motivation for doing the geothermal to begin with? And he said, Joe, well, she's really into the ecology. She's into the earth and to save the earth and to save all the to make sure she's not an energy pig. It was a real big issue for her. And so I said, well, then don't call it the geothermal package. I want you to call this one the new green-built, new millennium, earth-friendly package. And so I want you to be able to, everybody out there, when you create your first package that's going to be the best premium Rolls-Royce package, I want you to think about making a custom package title that matches up to what the customer is all about. So obviously, let's say this customer was like a Republican, right? I probably wouldn't use the earth-friendly type of thing unless he gave me an indication that was what he was all about. If he told me somehow that this is what's happening, or I saw bumper stickers that said, save the earth, use, whatever. In some way, he had a bunch of like if something indicated that he was earth-friendly, then I would use that, or something indicated. And that's where getting the bond with your customer is really important, isn't it, Rick?
Yeah, and that's a whole other level. That's really getting to the. I feel like if you can really start creating those kind of packages with that kind of information, that puts you on I think the upper tier, the highest level. I think. Don't you agree?
Well, exactly. Let me tell you what Rick told me. He said, I said, because he said I'm going to call it the premium or the platinum geothermal package, right?
Right.
I said, go back there and make up a new name. I said, I want every single thing in that package to have some kind of eco-friendly label on it. So so basically, the top package was called the New Millennium Green Built Earth-Friendly package, right? It was called the Platinum New Millennium Green Built Earth-Friendly package. It included the most with the air conditioning system and the geothermal system with the earth-friendly or the eco-friendly refrigerant, he called it. He had even the air quality system. He called it surgical room green built air quality package. And he said, why is that going to save why does that help save energy? He goes, well, if I filter the air properly and you don't restrict the coil, it's going to make the unit work more efficiently. So everything can be slanted toward a different angle. You ever hear that? Everybody with me on that one? How important it is to kind of make that first. Don't you agree, Rick? And when Rick asked her why did you go with this package for $88,000, she said when you first told me the name of that package, I knew I had to have it. Now guess what when he made her guess. Now here's how the thing goes. You guys make your first package. You describe the first package. It takes about 15 minutes to describe that package. And then you just hand the piece of paper with the rest of the options. Now the other 5 options aren't the same thing. They're just the first option is all the things listed, and then the next option is the same as above with, like say, a 5-year warranty instead of a 10-year warranty, and the third option is same as above with standard refrigerant, right? Fourth option is same as above with standard refrigerant and a 1-year warranty, right? Same, and then the last one is just your basic air conditioning and heating system, and the last one's economy system or Band-Aid system, he called it. So Rick had options from $88,000 down to $4,590. Do you believe that?
Wow.
Now, of course, she said she wanted to go with which packages. And now when Rick asked her to guess how much she guessed.
30,000.
Anybody else want to take a guess out there? Well, I mean,
100,000.
What'd you say?
100,000.
100,000. What else? Anybody else take a guess? Guess what this lady told Rick when she took a guess at it. Anybody else? Go ahead. I got a lot of people on the line here. I got like 20 people.
75.
75. Go ahead. Anybody else? What else are you hearing?
150.
How much?
150.
150. You're almost there. Keep going.
Wow.
She guessed 200,000.
Wow.
So he sold it for 88,000.
He left so much money on the table.
Yeah, that's what he said. He goes. I was happy I sold it, but then I was like, damn. She guessed $200,000. I would have. How much more was it actually worth? Now, what do you think made it worth that much more money?
His verbal package, the way he presented it.
It was. The equipment was the same as everybody else was quoting. The things. I mean, if you ask the other guy if he could give me 10 years of service or give me 10 years of filters or whatever, don't you think the other guy could have done that too?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have had the right package. He would have called it, just filters and pads and just a planned service agreement, right?
Yeah.
He would have undervalued it. He would have not labeled. So don't you? Everybody out there, I want everybody to realize that's why packaging is so fun to talk about, because the difference between you selling a normal job that maybe you're going to get $5,000 for, and you selling a job that's going to be $25,000, $30,000, is what you call that system. Don't you agree, Rick?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact.
I think that's something I could get better at, because I tend to go platinum plus, platinum, gold plus gold, silver, bronze. You know?
Well, I'll tell you what. Try and do it that way once, where you really hit the nail on the head and you really package it with the right words that the customer is using, that the customer would like to hear, the kind of words they want to hear. Just think to yourself before you make your packages, what kind of words would this customer would appeal to this customer? You know, would it be about, what's it about? If the customer is all about their family and how important their family is to them, well, then I've called that one. This is my safe family package. Or if it's all about the family being safe and that we don't want carbon monoxide occurring on the job, it's like, well, this is our safe family package, we call it. This one has got I put in the Firematic, what do you call it, shut-off system, and it comes with emergency family protection system. You know, it'll protect your family from floods.
Right. I could imagine too if someone was really concerned with air quality because of sick children or parents, elderly parents, or and you could do something like sterile air system.
Yeah, I've used that one before, where that's where I came up with the surgical room air quality package.
Right.
I call it the surgical room air quality package, and I use that when I'm selling to senior citizens or people who have severe allergy situations where the kids have severe allergies. I call it surgical room air quality, meaning that we're going to try to get this. We're going to try and bring this house up to the standards of a clean room if we can. I'm going to follow all the guidelines to seal the ductwork and to put UV system on the return supply. Right. All the bulbs and filters and pads are all completely. You can't buy anything for the next 10 years. We supply them for the next 10 years.
Right. I think too, Joe, is a lot of times I have people that are complaining about comfort because they have a oversized single-stage furnace. Mm-hmm. So instead of me just selling them a platinum package, I could sell them an ultimate comfort air evenness package or
even air package.
Even air package, yes.
Or automatic balancing package or something like that. You could
call
it, right?
That's
So whatever the customer is concerned about. So give me some ideas of what people are really concerned about out there. Do you think people buy boilers and furnaces and air conditioning units for no reason at all? I mean, when's the last time you thought about replacing yours even? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could get a better one, but you don't.
Right.
So what's the reason that people? What's the real reason that people do replace these things? Or why do they go into this? Do you think?
Dependability. Maybe they're having problems, right?
Yeah, it could be an issue with that. Anybody else want to jump in?
Comfort, Joe.
Comfort.
Think it's just comfort? Who's that? Is that Craig?
Yeah, man.
Craig Rogers.
How you doing?
Oh my God, Rick, I want you to meet a real good friend of mine, Craig Rogers. From,
is he from Seattle?
Yeah, he's from Oregon. He's
Oregon,
from
right?
Portland,
Same thing, isn't it?
Not quite, but it's close.
He's almost as famous as you.
Yeah, no, I read all about him. I listened to his audio the other night.
Did you?
Yeah, he was 1 week away from quitting, right?
Yeah, maybe even days.
Yeah. You're doing like $20,000 a month. No, I listened to your whole little thing there on the contractorselling.com. So I know all about you, Craig.
Okay, well, yeah, hopefully it's good.
Well, actually, believe it or not, even though I think, Craig, you get better reviews on the site than Rick does because people believe you more than they do him. Cause I don't think anybody believes somebody could sell $6 million a year.
Yeah,
well, I believe it, man. I just try to figure out how to do it. I just keep working at it.
Well, yeah, it's hanging. That's why I'm glad you showed up tonight. This way, maybe you can. Maybe this is one of the answers to listen to somebody who does, or to just talk about it, right?
Well, you know how we were last time you were here, Joe?
Uh huh.
Now all of our guys are tracking between 1 and 1.5.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we're getting there.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Sounds
great.
good.
And you sell almost all Home Depot leads, right, Craig?
50%.
50%. That's good.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. All right, so we'll go back into this packaging thing and just kind of finish this up a little bit. The packaging issue is first of all, make sure we're starting out with the highest package first. So build your. It's called your car in the showroom. Let's talk about our method of packaging and why it's important. Why do you want to create a high package, Rick, and a low package? Why is it important to have a ghetto option, an option that's very good? Why do you got to make sure you don't forget the crappy one?
I like exactly how you said car in the showroom. When you go into the car dealership, they have the most expensive car in the showroom. So you come in, you look at that, and it's $100,000. Any car they show you after that is going to feel better because it's not $100,000.
So it's called. What that's called is the law of contrast, right, Rick?
Right, exactly.
So basically, you're starting out with the contrast of the first option, which is extremely expensive, and definitely people can see the difference between that and the lowest option. I mean, don't you think that back in the old days, one of the problems may have been that the options just weren't different enough?
Yeah, and I can say tonight on that call I was telling you about earlier, if I would have went in as the $12,000 as my highest option, his wife would have been talking him out of the $12,000 option into the $7,800 option. But because I started out with $22,000, her job was to talk him out of the $22,000.
Right.
So
the key issue is to build your first package as a package that nobody's going to buy. It's going to be so good that when you first explain it to people, you're going to say, you know what, John, this first package, you're not going to want it because it's too good.
Right.
It's such a premium package that there's just no way you're going to want this one. I'll guarantee you're not going to buy this one. It's just too good. And you tell a customer that, there's two things that are going to happen in their mind, right? One is they go, God, that must be expensive, right? Or second thing they could think is what?
I deserve it.
I deserve something that's too good. I've been buying crap my whole life. Why am I going to hold? Isn't that the point, Rick? That haven't you sold expensive jobs like that to people that you never would have thought it?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
That they find that this is the time they're deciding to make the change and to break from the past, because in the past they've always gone cheap, right?
Right.
And now they're like, you know what? I've gone cheap my whole life. How many times have you heard people say that to you, Rick, where they said, you know, I've always done things kind of cheap, but now this time I'm going to go the right way.
Right. Yeah. And they've always regretted it, and now they've finally learned the lesson. They're going to buy something more premium.
Don't you think when you sell to people who are like, especially who are a little older, especially?
Yeah.
I think the younger people don't quite. If you're selling to somebody who's 24 years old, it's definitely harder to get them to understand that they could be making a really bad decision right now.
That's true.
Because don't you think younger people think that time is on their side and that I can afford to make a mistake and still recover?
Right.
But when you're 50 years old and you're buying a boiler that's going to last 20 years, and you're going to be 7 years old shopping for a boiler next time, or could be doing what you're buying when you're 60 years old again, right?
Right, and you don't want to be paying for something when you're on a retirement income and a fixed income. You want to buy the better thing now, so that when you are retired, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that reminds me of the story I had with Tom. Remember Tom Ames? I used to work over there with you guys.
Yeah. Yep.
I went out with a call with him one time. That's probably what made you. I think he might have even made you a believer too on this call. When first time I went out there, and we went to a lady in Pawtucket who was, just kind of a crotchety old lady who was. She was 90. She was 82 years old. She was, and we offered her the first option of $24,000 to replace her steam boiler system, and we had an option as low as $5,500, and she said, well, I'd like to go with the $24,000 job. The only thing is that I don't got $48,000. She thought because she had two small boilers down there. They're two 60,000 BTU steam boilers. She thought that I was meaning that we were gonna do 24,000 for each one.
Yeah.
I said, what would happen if I told you that this was 24,000 was for both boilers? And she goes, we just do that then. I said,
what you
let me
did.
ask you a question. I said, let me ask you a question though. Why are you doing this? I mean, you could go a lot cheaper. You could. She goes, listen, I'm 82 years old. I don't got. I'm not going to be 92 years old shopping for another boiler 10 years from now. I want this in the last 20 years.
Right. And I think she's doing. Tom told me when he told her it was a 10-year all parts and labor warranty and service. She said, for me, that's like a lifetime warranty.
For her, it's like a lifetime warranty, right? That's funny.
And above gets the lifetime warranty.
Right.
So anyway, that's great stuff. So basically, so the first package is going to be so good that it's going to get a no, right, Rick? You don't expect a yes to that first package, do you?
No.
But every now and then, people fool you, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
And so sometimes you screw up and they actually sell the first package.
Right.
But you're not supposed to. You're supposed to make that first one just to create contrast. It's like putting a car dealership. What they do is they get they buy the most expensive car, put it in the showroom. They put a sunroof on it, better wheels, better stereo system. And you look at the sticker price, you see something that says $75,000, and you ask a guy at the salesperson what that car really costs. He'll tell you it's $95,000 because they tricked it up. What they did is they tried to make it more expensive, so that when you look at the other cars, they look positively cheap.
Right.
So that's called the law of contrast. That's a law of persuasion that all salespeople could tap into. What never works is to show that you go first and then try and say, oh, yeah, we also have Cadillacs, too, on top of it. Because you'd never buy a Cadillac from a Yugo dealer, would you?
No.
So does everybody out there see how contrary that is, the way of trying to start out low and then trying to sell more on top of that? Why that never works? Any comments out there?
So what's really cool about starting high and going the other way, instead of adding to, you keep taking away, and they're going, I want that.
You start taking away, they're going, wait, let's stay at the top one. What are you doing?
Yeah, I want that.
Well, hang on. Let me show you the rest of them. And now, of course, Craig, when you start doing that, right? You start. That's called, what law is that called? Everybody know what law that is? When you start start going away from the thing they want.
Dissonance.
That's called law of scarcity. Yeah, you're creating dissonance. You're creating dissonance because the customer's saying, I want that good one. Now, most salespeople would just do what? When people say, I want the best one. Okay. Oh, yeah, you should get the best one. They start selling it again, right?
Right.
Now, Craig, what would you do if somebody said, well, I like that one?
I'd ask them if they're sure.
You sure? Well, why do you like that one, right?
What do you like about it? Are you sure you want to do that?
And the customer's like, yeah, I like that one because it's got the better warranty and better pads. So now who's actually making the presentation? When your calls are going good, Craig, who's making the presentation now?
They are.
You don't even make a presentation anymore, do you, when it's going good?
No, they're selling me.
They're selling you. You're like, I'm surprised you want that one, Fred. Why do you want that one so much? I mean, why don't you go the cheaper one? That one's too good. I mean, let's face it, that's a lot of money for that one, right? No, I like that, Craig. What do you like about it? Well, it's got the 10-year warranty, 10 years of service, 10 years. I mean, Craig, I want that. That's it. All right.
That surprises.
You got me. I never would have thought it, but, what the heck? We'll go ahead and get a sign up for you then, right? How many times do people choose your one of your top options, Craig, when you're doing it?
It's been running about 10-15% of the time.
Top option. And how about the middle three? What would you say?
The middle three is in the 70% range.
What about you, Rick? What are you finding on this?
Yeah, I find that a little less on the top option just because I've risen the price so high.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably get maybe 5% of the people will buy the top option, but I would say the majority will buy somewhere in middle to upper middle.
Right. The reason why people would float to the upper middle or to the lower middle, let's talk about that now. I'm going to talk about it right now that you have to have at least 6 options. So I'm putting a number on it. I'm not saying sometimes 4, sometimes 3. I'm saying, listen, guys, if you're going to do it this way, the way we do it here, you're going to do 6 options, and that's it. Right? Craig, how many options do you do?
6 every time at least.
How about you, Rick?
7, yep.
6, 7. You come up with at least 6 options.
Right.
The reason is this. When you have 6 options, you have 6 different ways of asking for the sale. Now, let's understand how we're doing these options. We're not going to create one option for the equipment and then start adding services on top of it. The top option includes the best services, the best warranty, all the pads and filters, and if you want to come out and do some kind of a flushing of the system or some kind of an additive, or if you're a plumber or whatever and you're selling a sprinkler system, then you do the RPZ every single year. You wouldn't like I had a guy sell me landscaping, and he sold me a $59,000 landscaping package for my house. Of course, for the next 10 years, he came back and changed all the annual flowers for the next 10 years, included with the price. He also did the RPZ on the sprinkler system. And so I had no worries. I couldn't write a check for 10 years. And so the same with your top option. It's got to be something where they can't write a check for 10 years, no matter what it is. You know, you figure now when you figure a warranty like that, Craig or even Rick, do you guys figure it like just sell the manufacturer's warranty, or do you just make your own warranty? How are you doing that now?
No, we do our own warranty, and we charge a lot for it. Like that option for the warranties and labor would be $5,000 more.
Yeah, because you want to be able to cover that warranty.
Right.
Let's face it. Most heating companies are famous for doing a warranty and then having all kinds of reasons why they can't cover it. Right? Like you didn't get it maintained, or you didn't. So you take that away.
Or,
you say, listen, next 10 years.
Or you didn't call us between 9 and 5.
Yeah, because that's how most people operate. Oh, yeah, this is only during normal working hours. This is only. Let's think of all the ways we try and get out of it, right? Or let's hope they forget about us, even.
Yeah.
You do have a package that has that, though.
Excuse me?
Normal working hours warranty.
Who has that?
There is a package out there that contains that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there is one there. So, we still got that. That's just we're talking about the top option now, though, right?
Right.
So the top option is you can't write a check no matter what time of day or night it is. It could be 3 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Eve or 4th of July. We're coming out there, right? So you got to ask yourself, what would it take to wake up a service guy 9 years from now and get him out there on 4th of July evening? What would it take to do that?
Lots of money.
You're right. You got to make sure, like, you got to think to yourself, this isn't going to be one of those BS warranties I sell for, like, I buy one from my manufacturer for like $150 and I mark it up twice or whatever and sell it for $300. No. We're talking about doing something like about $300 to $500 a year. To figure in as if you had to fix something every single year on the system, just going to pre-package it for the next 10 years, though. So let's say you want to average $500 a year on your repair. Instead of trying to sell $500 on every call, sell it right now. Sell $5,000 right now on this call. Put it out there in the top option. So $5,000 would be 10 years parts and labor. And then whatever your planned service agreement costs, let's say it's $250, so that'd be $2,500 more for that. Now just putting that on top. Now, of course, you don't break out the individual prices, right, Rick?
Right.
You just package it as one price. Now, here's what I want to make sure everybody knows. You make a real nice title at the top. You list all the options underneath it. Try and stay away from the equipment and the parts. It's just going to be called the Platinum Comfort System, or it's going to be called the Platinum Surgical Air Removal Air Quality System, or the Platinum Water Heating System, something like that. It's not going to be Ream 40-gallon, 25,000 BTU water heater or whatever, right?
Oh, yeah. Don't do any of that.
Do not do any of that stuff. Make sure when you create package, stay away from specifics. Don't put down the SCER. Instead of SCER, put down highest return on investment. This one is Platinum Rolls-Royce, highest return on investment, right? Lowest cost to operate would be that one, too. You can use that same thing. You can use both ways. And you're verbally packaging SCER. How about efficiency? That'd be lowest cost to operate, right?
Right.
Lowest cost of ownership. What does that mean? That means the bills are less on this one. Lowest bill, lowest utilities bills.
Right.
Instead of saying efficiency, so don't say 96.3% efficiency because you're screwing yourself, because who knows, somebody else is promising 97.2.
Right. Yeah.
It's not even true, but they're saying it.
Yeah, you don't want to get it to a battle of numbers.
Right, because if it turns into focusing on what the equipment's all about, there's no way you're selling that job for $25,000 or whatever.
Right.
It's only going to get that kind of money when people are seeing that your services are unique and the way you package it sounds more special.
Right.
So all the things you're listing underneath. So the first one's got the title of the package on top. All the things listed on it, like the premium system, the premium comfort system, the surgical equipment. Then at the very bottom on the right-hand side, put the price. Because here's what you're going to do. You're going to make sure that you describe the package, and then right before you reveal the price, you're going to hide the price so people can't see the price. So you're going to build the package up, talk about how great that first package is, describe it all. Just as you can read it if you want to, or just tell people what it is. 10-year warranty, I would say, is called a 10-year can't write a check warranty, where for the next 10 years, we come out anytime, day or night. 3 o'clock in the morning, Jim, guess what happens when your furnace breaks down? 9 years from now, guess what's going to happen? Now that's called the law of involvement. I ask people a question about what's going to happen when these things break down, or what's going to happen. Now in our system, what happens?
I don't pay anything.
Can't write a check. This is completely covered. That's why I told you this is good. It's like Rolls-Royce.
Can I give you a credit card?
No, you can't give me anything. I can't even take a tip.
You would certainly take a little bit of cash from me, though, wouldn't you?
Not at all. This is like all inclusive, like a Jamaican vacation. I can't even take a tip on this thing.
Wow.
You can't even tip the service guy. It's so good.
Wow.
Right. And so that's your first option, right? Sometimes you never know when you hit the nail on the head there with the service. Everybody likes good service. That's why so many other sales trainers out there spending time on trying to find out exactly what people need and what they want. The truth is, what people really want is not logical at all. What they really want is the best thing or the worst thing or something in the middle. They don't really have any. This takes away all of that stuff about finding out. Let's talk about finding out what people really do want and what is important to them. Now, how do you find out what is important? If you want to ask people questions about things you think are wrong, like say, Rick, you go to a Cape Cod home, and the second floor doesn't cool right in this house.
Yeah. So I say to them, I'm looking at your system here. You must not have any problem with the air going to the second floor. It must be really cold up there in the summer and really nice and warm up there in the winter.
And they go, "What? Are you kidding? Of course it's not cold. It's the hottest room in the house, Rick. Are you crazy?"
Well, you know what? I noticed that. I just wanted to see if it was important to you.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you could make that second floor cool, you got the job. Because everybody said they couldn't do anything about it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Well, see what I can do, right?
Yeah, see what I can do. I'm going to take a look at it, see if we can come up with something for you.
Right. So the first package is really good. You explain the first package just by telling them how, this is our Platinum New Millennium Green Built system, let's call it. That's our R401 heat pump to a customer who's really important, who really wants to see that type of system. And this includes the lowest cost of investment air conditioning system, the Rolls-Royce system that's got a 10-year, you could replace it for 10 years and replace the unit, not the compressor. If something goes wrong with it, you get to replace the entire unit. 10 years of service. Every year you call for planned service? Well, not anymore. This one, with this system, it's completely included. We call you. And now, also it's a 10-year can't write a check warranty, which means that for the next 10 years, let's say year 9, something goes wrong at 3 o'clock in the morning, guess what happens? We come out here. It's free of charge. There's nothing. We don't charge you for anything. But all the pads and filters, every year how the service guys trying to set up the pads and filters for your humidifier right now? Well, guess what? This is all included. You can't write a check. Even if you smash the thermostat yourself and break it, it's covered, no matter what it is, act of God or anything, we're covering it. But guess what that's going to cost? Now you make them guess. Right, Rick?
Yeah, it's going to cost $10,000.
Rick, double it.
$20,000?
No, it's only $17,000.
Oh.
So now we play a little game right there, right?
All right.
Craig, do you do that now, or how are you doing that?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's always, I run into once in a while, I have no idea. And I'll say, okay, well, that minivan driver, what'd that cost you?
You say, you bring up, how much did you buy the minivan for?
They'll say $18,000, and I'll say, man, I wish I could do it for that. I said, but there's no way. And he's like, well, how much is it? I said, you got to double that. And
$36,000.
$36,000? And I go, oh, just kidding you. It's only 22.
Now let's talk about that. We'll do a little guessing game on that, right? Now, a lot of people undervalue that guessing. Why is that so important, that guessing game? What does that tell you when somebody guesses too low or guesses too high?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, go ahead, Craig. Yeah, tell us.
If they guess too low, you need to work on your verbal packaging because you're not getting the point across. And if they guess too high, you're doing a good job explaining. You're getting through to them at their level and they're understanding what it is and they can put a value on it. Otherwise, if they're guessing lower, you need to work on that. But what I've really found is that women seem to be in tune, man. They really understand how much this stuff is, and I think men sometimes play the game of, yeah, well, maybe it is $20,000, but I'm gonna lowball him.
They do it on. I know men, like on repair calls. I go on a repair call, and I'll package up like a 10-year warranty on a repair. It's cost like $3,500, and the guy will say, I don't know, $300.
Yeah.
You just insult me,
right.
And I'm like, come on, multiply that times like 15.
I have
like
one.
4,500? No, it's only.
And if I do is I make them guess. They'll say, no, I'm not going to guess. I'm like, well, I'm not showing it to you unless you're guessing.
You hold back, huh?
I hold back, and it gets them more involved. And then if they really insist that they're not going to guess, then I pick how much they paid for their car or something like that. But I found that it's really a way to get them involved in the process if you make them guess. Oh, I have no idea. Well, I'm not going to show you unless I make a guess. Just pick any number, make a guess.
Yeah, let's stop right there, Rick. Now,
yeah.
don't you? I mean, a lot of people will say, "Oh my God, you don't. You hold back until you make them guess."
Yeah.
Now, I don't think everybody realizes how much momentum is going in your favor right now. Because let's face it, they got all the way to the point where they're going to see the price now, and they're not going to see it.
Right.
It's like going to the ball game, and then just as the first pitch is going to be starting, they shut the lights off.
Right.
Right? Wouldn't you be pissed if you got there, you parked the car, you got the kids all settled, you got the hot dogs all bought, And now here we go. Oh my God, the first pitch is going to be on. Play ball, right? And they get there, all of a sudden lights go off. There's no way they're not going to want to see that, right?
Right.
They got to see that. So basically, all the momentum is going in your favor, and so people now it does get some people agitated. Craig, do people get sometimes a little bit agitated when you tell them a guess?
At times. But you work through it. It ain't no big deal.
Yeah, well, getting agitated is nothing bad because the people buy. Understand, how do people buy? Emotionally or logically?
Emotionally.
Yeah, so you're not gonna, so if people aren't emotional, you're not going to give them the buy.
Right.
And emotional doesn't always mean they're freaking happy, right?
Right.
I mean, who's happy they got to spend $36,000 on something?
So you create a little dissonance, and then you get to heal it right away, too.
Yeah, you're healing that's right. You're creating dissonance, that trouble, and that's called law of dissonance, where you create that little trouble, but then you heal it right away with the different prices and different options, right?
Right.
Now, after you show that price and you get people to guess, and some people guess low or high, you try and get them to jump over. It's called leapfrog over whatever I guess. So if I tell you to guess and my number is like 15,000 and you guess too high, I tell you just go a little bit more. You're almost there. Let's say they guess 22,000 and it's 15,000. What do you say then?
No, you double it.
Double it? You're talking about Jesus? You're talking about 44,000? No, it's only 15,000, right? And what are you doing there? It's called price conditioning, isn't it?
Right.
That mentally they're going, it's not 44,000. Oh no, you didn't. Oh no, you didn't, Rick Picard. Right? It's like, no, it's not that. Come on, it's only a furnace. It's only 15,000. Right?
But it makes that $12,000 one look cheap.
Yeah,
right.
12,000 seems like it's positively
affordable.
Where before they were hoping to spend 3,000, right?
Right.
Now, let me ask you a question though, Craig. Has your perception of what people would pay has changed? Has that changed from what it was when you? Of course, you don't have a long history of heating and air conditioning in your blood, right? You're kind of a newcomer to the game, but you were probably worn down by customers expecting a lower price sometimes, right? Has your perception of what people would buy things for, has that changed?
Oh, without a doubt. They, I mean, not too many times I've gone in and they said, oh, well, I got the $3,000 budget and they'll spend $25,000. So I don't even pay attention to that.
Right. So, Rick, how about you? I know you had a number. When I first met you, you said, Joe, everybody else is at 2,500 and we're at 3,500 already. We're already higher.
Right. Exactly.
I'm like,
and
you're
now
not, that's the problem, Rick. You're only 1,000 higher. You got to be way
exactly
more than
right.
1,000.
Yeah, I'm only limited. The price is only limited by my own mind. Mm-hmm. And that's see, I'm the opposite of Craig. I've been doing this a long time, and so I had a lot of bad habits or bad thought patterns ingrained in my mind. Just because I only think a furnace is worth $3,500 doesn't mean that's what the customer feels it's worth.
Yeah, I think don't you think people who are experienced in this industry are at a huge disadvantage? Rick?
Yes, I do.
I think Craig. I think what you being relatively new. I mean, how many years have you been doing this, Craig?
I just finished my first.
Your first year, right? And so
yeah.
to me that's a. I mean, let's face it, you picked up a lot. So that's amazing that you've been. I mean, you sound like somebody who's been doing it for like 15 years by just talking to you. But the issue is that. Don't you? I think that because you have fresh eyes and you don't look at it like, oh, we can only get $1,500 for a furnace. For the last 20 years you haven't been selling that way.
Right.
You're definitely more open-minded probably than some other people are. I mean, have you found that people who are in the industry, Craig, that you've met are thinking that that's crazy what you're saying?
Oh yeah, no, and it's great. I think it's great. Let them keep thinking that.
Yeah, let them keep
no problem.
That's right, because they think they're losing jobs because it's too cheap, and they're really losing them because it's not enough.
Well, and what I find is it took me a year to get SEER ratings out of my presentations, because just in my head that's so important. How am I going to explain to the customer the different? Yeah. So with Craig probably doesn't really, that's probably not as important to him. I found getting BTUs, brand names, and SEER ratings out of my. It was a gradual thing. I was like, I had to let go. You would
let go. Even though you were successful with my system for the first 6 months, I still saw stuff on there I didn't like, and you're like, I'm just keeping it on there. I'm like, what?
It's like I was like a part of the family. I had to let go.
It's like a crack addict. You had to have the BTUs on there and the SEER, right?
Right, and now it's all gone. It's just I noticed there's a lot less resistance.
Well, I tell you, I said last time I put a BTU on a proposal was 1998, I think it was. So, so bottom line is that that's not important. It's what's really important is that you did your job and you put the right one in. That's the most important thing.
Right.
Now, also the stuff with the lowest system. It's got to be so cheap that nobody would buy it too. So the best system, you got to build it so good that hardly anybody would buy it, and the worst one's got to be so crappy and so cruddy that nobody would buy it too. So you got to call the Janitrash or something on the bottom that's so cruddy, and you got the best one, the Rolls Royce type of thing on the top, right?
Right.
The bottom one's like your Band-Aid package, the top one. Then there's ones in the middle. Like Craig is saying, he has ones that do have a daytime, and that's something you could think about, Rick. Instead of having a full warranty, so even in this lower package, it only comes with a regular working hours warranty.
Right.
The truth is, probably they'll still cover it, but nonetheless, in his mind, he thinks that's what it is.
Right.
And so the bottom line is that's all good stuff that you're going to take. So the customer, what's the communication that the customer has with you as you start lowering price? What do they start seeing is going on with your packages?
The value has been taken out of it.
You're communicating every time you make me lower the price.
Something comes out of it.
Something comes out of it. So when a customer says lower your price, in the end they go, Craig, do me a favor and lower your price. Tell you what, take off $1,000. You got the job. What do you say to something like that?
Well, then I just go ahead, Craig. Okay.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I don't even play that game. I mean, $1,000. On you talking on my cost cutter, or any of them? On
any of them, customer says take $1,000 off. What would you say?
First, I want to find out what makes them think that I have $1,000 to take off.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Right.
And so basically, also telling them that if I take $1,000 off, my greatest fear is what? That I'm going to have to remove something else from the package.
Right.
Right. That's what I was kind of getting at. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. I know we've got some good stuff going there, and I hate to end it so soon, but it is hours up. And we'll continue again next week. We'll pick up right at that point, though. I do want to talk about once making the so now we're going to learn how to do packages. The best one at the top, worst one at the bottom. Make the worst one so bad nobody would buy it. Make the best one so good hardly anybody would buy it. And 3 and 5 and 4 in the middle. Next week we're going to do a presentation, show how a presentation goes.
All right.
All right, guys.
Great.
Good night.
Signing off. Everybody have a nice one.
Bye.
Thanks, Joe.
Bye.
Hey, Joe, are you still there?